Problems are solved when the patterns that create them are erased. And this is something that we can do when we take 100% responsibility for all the problems that we experience, not just in our own lives, but in the world. And that might seem an absurd statement to make, to suggest that we take total responsibility, 100% responsibility for all of it, everything that's going on. In the apparent, it would seem so, from the perspective of the ego, which is the individual unit of consciousness, or perspective of consciousness, yes. But if we go beneath that to the place where we are whole, one, unified, where there is no separation, then it becomes something that's possible for us to do through a spiritual technology, a universal principle of oneness. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Some of you will know that I'm referring here to a method called Hooponopono, an ancient Hawaiian method of reconciliation and forgiveness, developed into a self-help method by Mona Simeona and popularised by the late Dr Hew Len. I wrote all about it in a book, my forgiveness journal, 40 Days of Hooponopono, where I introduce you to the process. And some of you kindly have bought my book and have asked for some follow-up videos explaining in a little bit more detail. This idea of taking 100% responsibility is the main radical teaching of this method. There's no question about it, because it goes against how we think in the ordinary, in the apparent. And in the last video I used this term, the apparent, the appearance of things, being our normal everyday life, and the ego consciousness, if you want to use that word, that we are operating through in our daily lives. So if you have some understanding of psychology, you will know that there is more to us than the ego, more to us than, in terms of mind, in terms of consciousness. There is the unconscious. And it's the unconscious that is directing our thoughts, behaviour and actions so much more than the ego mind. We think we're making choices, we think we're in control, but it's a little bit like the iceberg. 10% is our conscious mind and 90% of it, or perhaps more than that even, I don't know exactly, is determined by unconscious principles, patterns that just go on repeating unless we erase them. So we talked about the unconscious being a kind of sea, and the conscious mind being our perspective, which sees the world as separate to us. It's a little bit like wearing glasses that are a filter. When we incarnate into this life, we wear these glasses, these goggles that are 3D goggles in a way. They are a filter of the finite. And by finite, I mean that everything has a beginning and an end. So things appear to us as objects that are separate from ourselves. The trees, the cars, the buildings, and the people, animal, plants, and so on, all appear to us as separate from ourselves, from our individual unit of consciousness perspective. So we are in a subject-object relationship with everything around us. And this relational perception, we believe is real. We believe it to be reality. But it's just a filter of finiteness. In truth, we are infinite beings. So if we go deeper, if we go below the appearance of things, then the distinction between the subject-object dissolves away. The separation, relational separation that we perceive is real, dissolves away, and we understand that there is actually no separation, and that that the I is something we all share. Consciousness is something that we all share, and it's a field that is accessible to all of us equally, and there's an interflow. So when we understand that, and we begin to maybe just allow ourselves to play with that idea of reality, we then can understand a little bit more about this spiritual technology that allows us to erase problems, clean up consciousness. If I take responsibility only for my own life, which is what my ego mind will tell me to do, I'm not responsible for that. You open your Twitter feed, you turn the TV on, and all of that behaviour, all that stuff that's happening out there, we make a judgment on it, we have an opinion on it, but it's not about us. It affects us, but it's not my problem. I didn't create it, I didn't cause it. And that's how we think in the ego mind, from that limited perspective of finite mind. The ego is programmed to simply be there to support us, to make choices that are beneficial to us and help us navigate life. But this gift of free choice, this freedom to choose, free will, this gift that comes as part of being a human being, is something that we can think of as a kind of coupon that you can use to effect change. So you use it in your own life all the time. You make decisions about things, about just what you're going to watch on TV, and about what job you're going to do in your life, or what relationship you're going to be in. So think of it as a coupon that effects change, and you can take that coupon down into the beneath, and you can use it there. This is why it's described as a spiritual technology. This is just about universal law. So making the choice to take responsibility, not only for your own life in the apparent, but for it all from the perspective of oneness, within the field of oneness, means that you can clean up. You can clean up for everybody, for everything that appears to be separate from your life. Does this begin to make sense? So the process in Hooponopono of cleaning up is, I'm sorry, forgive me, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. And what we're doing in this practice is, when we become aware of a problem, we ask, we go down into the unconscious, down into the beneath, and we say, show me where the cleaning needs to happen. A thought might arise for you, something that triggers a memory of when that pattern has played out in your life. That might just be a thread of that whole problem that is in itself a huge archetype that is replaying on the world stage in other places. You don't need to know that, you don't need to fully understand it, but just take hold of that thread, see it as a gift, and then say thank you, because now I can use my aspect of consciousness, my free will token, to say with sincerity from the heart, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. You could say, are you finding something deep in yourself that is connected to that universal experience, if you want to understand it that way. And then you can use free will to own it and clean it. So everything that's in your life, you have this wonderful opportunity to clean. See it as a gift, as an opportunity, rather than a burden, a responsibility. Being able to take responsibility for it means you can change it. And by the way, everything that's in your life is everything that you're aware of. Everything that comes into your life through maybe a telephone call, through something that you see, or as I say, read on social media when you turn the news on, somebody you see in the street. So all the time, things are coming into your conscious awareness in every moment of every day. And then you can own it and clean it. And you can be an agent as such, an agent of atonement. It's a wonderful practice. There's a lot to think about, even in what I've said so far. So I just put it to you to open your mind to the possibility that this might actually be a spiritual technology, a universal principle. And it's the way that things work, the way that problems appear, but the way that problems can be dealt with. Start to do it, and in the doing of it, observe any changes in your own life and around you, because this is like a little ripples going out. And those little ripples, you might see the evidence of change in those little ripples in your more locally to begin with, in your own life, in the people around you, in the situations that you engage with in your daily life. So try it out, let me know how you get on. And next time we'll think about this cleaning and how we can do it unconsciously while we're busy living our ordinary lives, how it can be going on in the unconscious by means of cleaning tools and our inner work using our inner child, our relationship with our inner child. So I'll talk more about that next time. Okay, thank you for listening. All my love. Till next time, take care. God bless. Bye for now. My Forgiveness Journal, 40 Days of Hooponopono, is now available on Amazon. I'll put the link below so that you can go and get yourself a copy if you want to. You can see it's a bit like a workbook where I introduce you to the main concepts of the practice and also give you some follow-up activities so that you can really interact with the practice and it can become really meaningful for you. And you can journal your experience. Something to treasure and look back on. So join me for 40 days of Hooponopono.